This happened to me when I was a teenager. At the time, I used to love to take walks. If I could, I would take 4 to 5 a day. I loved it. I loved to put on my headphones, put on a good album, and just get lost. So on this particular day, I decided to travel off the beaten path, if you will. There's a patch of woods about a half-mile away from my home. I've never explored them. In fact, I always forget that they're there. But I decided to go this day. So around 6:30 p.m., I left my house and started the walk down to the woods. When I finally get there, I'm standing at the tree line, staring into the woods, and I see a path, a trail, that looks like it's regularly used, probably by people walking their dogs or jogging. So I start on that trail. About 10 minutes in, I take my headphones off. I don't know why, but I guess I just wanted to appreciate nature and be one with the forest. A couple of minutes later, I hear a crack, a snap sound in the distance. It scared me. I quickly looked around, but didn't see anything. I spun in all directions. Not a thing. I was 99% sure that it was an animal, but I had to check. As I was just about to give up, I see something in the distance, about 150 feet away. It was the head of a man peeking out from behind a fallen log, but he wasn't still. He was slowly standing up, and by the time he was fully stood up, I could see he was tall and thin and dirty looking. I assumed he was homeless. I saw him and he saw me, and as we stared at each other for what seemed like the longest time, I could see him nodding his head at me. I was confused, but my confusion slowly turned into panic. But that didn't last long either, because my panic turned into terror, because I saw the man start running towards me. Not a jog either, a dead-on sprint. I was in shock, but I quickly shook myself out of it and turned around and started hauling ass towards some sort of civilization. Lucky for me at the time, I was in very good shape. I ran cross country in school, and I could easily take this guy. It was getting dark at this point, and I was having trouble seeing what was in front of me, but there was enough light for me to see just enough for me to manage. I could hear him behind me, gaining on me. I didn't think this was possible. I thought I was faster than him, but I guess I wasn't. Up ahead, I saw a fallen tree. I quickly hurdled it, no problem. Like I said, I was in very good shape. And a couple of seconds later, I hear a crack, then a thud. I knew right away it was the man, and I knew what had happened. This was the break that I needed. Still, not looking back, I hauled it out of those woods. And when I exited the woods, I didn't stop there. I ran all the way home. This was single-handedly one of the most disturbing, terrifying experiences in my life. And I never go for walks after 7 p.m. again. This happened to me and my buddy Jesse in October 2004. We decided we wanted to go raccoon hunting. So we asked a buddy of ours, a reputable raccoon hunter if you will, for some tips. So he gave us two .22 rifles, and we headed out one Friday night at around 9:30. We drove the 20 or 25 miles out of town to the highly recommended patch of woods for raccoon hunting. So we pull up, we park the truck, we grab the flashlight and the .22s out of the bed, and we start off into the woods, into the unknown. We're walking now for about 30 to 40 minutes, and for those of you who don't know, raccoon hunting is done in the dark with little to no light, because you never want to scare off the raccoons. So we're walking now, about 40 minutes in, and we start to hear some sounds in the distance, like a crackling sound of the sticks and leaves. Excited, we both looked at each other, ready to make our first kill. But then they disappeared again. The sounds, that is. So we keep walking. I'm pretty sure we were on a trail, but I don't remember. About 10 minutes later, the sounds come back again, this time louder. Now we knew that this was no critter. This was something bigger, like a man. Confused, we turn our flashlights on only for a moment to scan the surrounding woods. We see nothing, but then we look a little harder, and we see a pair of eyes shine from the flashlight. These were definitely no eyes of a raccoon. It was indeed a man, if you could even call it that. We saw this man, creature, humanoid thing on all fours, making half-circle moves, for lack of a better term. I don't know how to explain it. It was an unnatural thing, the way this thing's body was twisted and contorted. Again, it was very unnatural. Me and Jesse looked at each other in shock and horror. We dropped the flashlight and we book it in the direction of the truck. About a couple of 100 feet, we stop and we turn around. We had dropped the flashlight, but our eyes were already adjusted to the pitch black woods. Down the hill, we could see my flashlight sitting on the ground. The woods were pitch black, so the flashlight can easily be seen from a distance even. Then we see it start moving as if something had picked it up. And then a moment later, it turned off. So we continued running back to the truck. Thank God we found it. We hopped in and floored it out of there. This was one of the most downright disturbing things me and Jesse have ever seen in our lives. That was our first time going raccoon hunting, and it was sure as hell our last. This happened to me when I was 29. My parents had just moved to a new town, a very rural town, so I decided I wanted to go see them one night for dinner. So after work, I went home, changed, and hit the road to make the 30-mile trip to my parents' new place. Things were going well. It was a beautiful summer evening. I had the windows down, music up. Things were going very well. But as I neared my parents' home, I realized just how rural it is out here. So I arrived at my parents' house, and I greet them with hugs and kisses, as I haven't seen them in months. Been very busy with work at the time. So we eat dinner, and we're just sitting around talking. And I decided while I still had some daylight, I'd like to go on a nature walk and snap some pictures. I'm a photographer, by the way, and I couldn't think of a better place to take my pictures. So there's a patch of woods behind my parents' new house. So I decided that would be the perfect spot to go in. So I tell my parents I'm going out, like I'm 16 again, and I head off into the woods behind the house. Now my parents' property was pretty big, and the woods were at the end of the property in the backyard. So I head off into the woods, admiring nature and the sounds. I'm about 15 minutes into my walk and getting deeper into the forest when I see a clearing. But it was weird. It was a bizarre place. Unnatural even. It freaked me out. Plus it didn't help. There wasn't much sunlight left, and I knew I had to turn around soon. But as I looked around to the surrounding trees, I saw some carvings. At first they looked like just random carvings, but as I looked closer, they looked almost satanic. I was really freaked out now, and something in me told me that I had to get out of there. I took one last look around before I headed out, and in the distance I saw this structure. I wouldn't call it a house nor a shack. It was in between. It really wasn't big at all, but it was all wooden, and it looked like it was built sometime in the 20s. But then I saw somebody disappear from behind it. It was so quick, I even questioned if I even saw it at all. But I did. So I turn around, not showing how much I'm panicking, and I start speed walking back in the direction of my parents' home. I can actually see it in the distance, so I know I had to get there soon. Without even turning around, I hear frantic running sounds through the woods. But it's not one person. It sounds like multiple men coming in my direction. Now I'm running. I am panicking so much. I've never felt that much adrenaline going through my body. I became desperate for safety. Even though I was so close to home, I felt so far away. They got closer and closer. Lucky for me, I wasn't in horrible shape at the time. Never was in tip-top shape, but I managed. And I exited the woods, but didn't stop there. I ran through my parents' backyard and burst through the back door. Both of my parents looked shocked, and I'm sure they could see the pure panic and terror on my face. They had asked me what happened, concerned, but I ignored them, and I went to the kitchen window to look out in the direction of the woods. Up ahead I saw 3 men standing at the tree line, looking around at first, but then all 3 of them seemed to look at me at the same time, as if they knew right where I was. I never go out in the woods at night again.